Okay, so I have a random number generator going, so I'm going to pick three numbers. You guys know how this works. So the first number is 17. That is a cannon. We've had that already, I believe. The first number is a foot. We will leave that to interpretation later. 21, which is fall as the verb, and 19, which is faux as the adjective or adverb. I believe that would be an adjective in this case. So a faux foot, fall. And so faux being the word for fake, it is, I believe, French, just off of pronunciation. So we have a foot, but this isn't a real foot. I guess we're coming up on Halloween, so maybe this is a fake foot, and perhaps we are. Let's just stick with that Halloween theme. I know Halloween Horror Nights has just opened up, and so we will think of this as maybe a haunted house. So we can have a design for a scare, and so we will have this doorway here, and okay, so there's the door frame, the bottom of the doorway, and so people will enter the doorway in this direction, and little do they know that upon entering the doorway, perhaps there is a tripwire of sorts, but there is actually a mechanism up here with many levers and pulleys that are being used to correctly connect it to the tripwire and the apparatus that we are seeing here. But there is actually a foot that is hanging above the doorway, and some small portion of the calf, but the emphasis is on the foot. So I'm going to zoom in here a little bit just for extra detail, because you have come to the place of detail, have you not? So we have our foot here, and there's a toe, and it's so if we're going with this haunted house idea, then perhaps it's a little bit bloodied, and then the rest of it can be tan. But then we can probably clean it up a little bit, because you don't want it to be a ugly, distorted foot. You want it to be a masterpiece, because these people need to believe that it's an actual foot when it falls from the heavens or the rafters, depending on your belief system, into their welcoming arms. So, as you can obviously see now, this is a phony, bloodied foot that is being strung up by a pulley system. But for this mechanism to be efficient, there has to be some breaking point. So we can probably point that out. Break point. And so now if we zoom out, we can see that our guest, who is a stick figure today, just for efficiency, this guest is pretty happy at the moment, but little do they know that something is waiting for them just on the other side of that doorway. So I still continue my streak of unsuccessfully filling in lines, or I guess completing lines. But I believe that I was only missing that one spot today. So that's a pretty substantial improvement. I don't know, we can have, I guess we can't. All right, so the doorway here, given in brown, is a indicator of a passage for said unsuspecting victim to enter into this haunted house. But just on the other side, we have our trap set up. So my person should not be the same color as the wall unless they want to be. I won't judge, but I'm judging right now, I guess. So if that is a complete face, then that should be able to be colored in. So a haunted house doesn't necessarily have to be a complete two-standard building. It can just be some walls with doors, but the person will enter through the door, and on this side, they will be less happy. And also apparently somewhat red. I guess if they were truly scared, then they would be somewhat embarrassed and probably somewhat stressed out, judging by these sweat marks. So their eyebrows would probably do some sort of dance, and when you're scared, you get this big exclamation point over your head. So that's what happens according to cartoons, which you know is a relatively accurate analog to real life. So we have our phony foot being prepared to drop on a unsuspecting victim that is entering our haunted house. So this looks like a pretty complete picture. So I guess from this point on, I'm just going to answer the question I see in the chat.